Good morning and a happy Thursday morning to everybody. Okay, you guys, once again, I did this video and there's so much information that I had to split it into two. So there's a part one and a part two. There is no royal family video today. I repeat, no royal family video. This video, smoke and mirrors, is what it is. And there's so much. So make sure you follow me over to video number 2 to finish up all this information. All right, let's jump in. Let's go. I'm going to start off by saying that at least you guys know that you can trust my review, because I watched the series for you guys and I told you what I thought. And now all these reports are coming out from The Guardian and The Telegraph. I mean, everybody who's watched this show has absolutely savaged it. First of all, I told you about the horse abuse. They're knocking them into each other. They're hitting it with a mallet. They just jump from horse to horse. These poor horses are driven to exhaustion. I mean, it's just horrible. But the reviews are, and I'm quoting, "It's the stupidest and most obnoxious sport known to humanity. It's tedious, and Harry and Meghan aren't even in it." Well, I think that might be a good thing. They're telling people skip it. It's just not worth. And they're hoping that the cookery show does better, but I got to be honest, I don't think it's going to. That's just my personal opinion. Don't forget that former friends of Harry, when the trailer dropped, watched it and then told the news that they were in appalled hysterics, that it was just the most ridiculous thing they'd ever seen. A lot of these articles are saying that this show is going to fall into obscurity at the speed of light, and that rightfully so. Now you know why Netflix was so upset with it. You know, that just tells you that all of these stories that are constantly leaked are probably true. And now, in a very stupid effort to try to get people to want to log in, they're going, "Ooh, Meghan and Harry pack on the PDA. Oh yeah, you want to watch this?" No, I really don't. Let me tell you something. This show is a complete fail from start to finish. Don't waste your time. I literally lost brain cells. For those of you who want to know what you're going to see ripped and muscled men with very white teeth, strong forearms, and very expensive watches lift weights, skydive, go deep sea fishing, and drive very expensive cars while you listen to a lot of music that's really irritating. Of course, if you go to Variety magazine or People magazine, their go-to magazines, they're just gushing. And if you look on X, there's all these bots. "Oh, it's so fabulous. It's so wonderful." But the truth is, the numbers don't lie. It's not doing well. It's going in the toilet. Fans, it's being said, cannot relate to this show at all. And they're even bringing up the fact that part of the, storyline pits father against son, and they're saying that Harry did that to show something about him and his father, King Charles. You know something? It's not good. And Meghan even takes over control. Body language people are watching towards the end when Meghan supposedly speaks Spanish, although it's very obvious that every time we hear her, it's in very controlled circumstances. I've never heard her once have just an authentic conversation without an earpiece in, which is what supposedly she had during Columbia. So anyway, the point is, I watched it and my review matches up with the experts, so you know you can trust me. It is officially, in every real review, a complete boring snooze fest. All right, let's move on now. Back when Meghan was still on Suits, she did a panel discussion where she talked about how her character Rachel was a crier, but she's not, and she couldn't imagine crying that much. Then we had the Archetypes podcast where she was talking with Constance Wu, because Constance Wu was talking about some thoughts that she had to unalive herself. And Meghan said, "I would love to cry like my children do. You know, they cry, they get over it, they release it, and then they move on." But she said, "I'm conditioned to have a different kind of composure." So you guys just take a look at some of these headlines. Watch this. So it was right about this time that we found out that Megan was bragging online about how she could cry out of one eye. It was her left eye. So here you go. You can watch this. Listen to this.
You'll make yourself cry. Yeah. Oh, I can do that so well. Oh my God, it's crazy. You're like, Megan, one tear, left eye, go. Give me 3 seconds.
And that, my friends, is why people said she wasn't really crying at the Queen's funeral, because she only cried out of her left eye. She didn't do the tears out of both eyes. So for somebody who doesn't cry, I'm not a crier. That's just not me. She sure does cry a lot, but I think that's how she manipulates Harry. I mean, guys, when you look back at the very first article that I just showed you, when they were dating, Harry would read things about Meghan Markle and he would go to her and say, is this true? He put that in the spare, that she would often end up crying because she didn't pay much attention to the internet or the stories about her, quote unquote, as a rule, which he believed to be smart, but unsustainable in the long run. And once the press started running upsetting narratives, Harry felt he was going to war for her reputation and her physical safety and said he needed to know fact from fiction. And so he would question her about some of the stories. He said, so every few hours, something would appear online and he would say to Meghan, is that true? Is this true? Is there a grain of truth? And she would cry every time and say, why would they say that? I just don't understand. Can they just make stuff up? Yeah, they weren't making stuff up. I have a feeling that they were exposing her. I believe this is when Harry put out that statement about this is my girlfriend, you need to leave her alone. Because what was said in the article is instead of walking around Frogmore Gardens or sitting at my table talking about the future or just getting to know each other, we were meeting lawyers searching for ways to combat this madness. So she had him talking to lawyers before they were even married. Ugh. All right, let's move on now. Now, don't get me wrong. I do think some of these photos are absolutely staged, like this one. I mean, could you imagine your wife is on the floor crying in the closet, so the first thing you do is grab a camera and snap a picture? Right. All right, you guys, that is the end of part 1. So make sure you hit the thumbs up button, the bell for all notifications, then go down into the description box where you'll find the link to part 2 of this video. You don't want to miss it. Let's go.